Fletcher. Now sit back and prepare to be entertained.
There we go. Welcome back to the Dripping Bucket, where I've now have two Michaels hostages to talk about books and shit, and grimdark books specifically. Last time Michael was talking about side characters and villains, but we're gonna pivot way off into a different direction now and make Michael tell us about every single one of his mistakes. The other Michael, shut up, Fletcher. So mistakes is something that came up in between episodes where you kind of don't know you're making them until after you're already published. And I'm wondering if there's anything that you look back on and go, oh, fuck, that was stupid.
Most of my life. No, I'm just kidding. I don't make mistakes. So this is a quick one. You can just cut it right there.
Okay. Yeah, sure.
No, I'm actually a little disappointed. I can't hear the intro of the Dripping Bucket podcast with Michael R Fletcher and Krystle Matar. I'm waiting for it, and I was looking forward to it.
Smarter, yeah, I know. Smarter podcasters than me have figured out how to play it during the recording so that they don't have to tack it on. But I, for the life of me, haven't the skills, the attention span, or I don't know, the technical competency.
Mistakes.
Yeah. My mistake. Oh fuck. Yeah. Yeah, I've got some.
Okay, so here's what I'll say. Looking back, I mean, I don't know about y'all, but that first book, right, is it's like if you could just make it as good as the one you're currently writing, Do you ever do that? Because I just constantly think about the book and I go, I could make it better. And it just annoys the shit out of me. I think about it probably every week.
I have that with the second one, not the first one. I think Brightwash specifically, because I had no idea how long any of it would take, it was allowed to cook for a really long time. And so there's some surface level stuff where it's I would go through and trim out a lot of crutch words and stuff, but that's, line editing stuff. Otherwise I stand behind the decisions that I made for plot focus, character, etc. With Brick and Bone, I got cocky. Where it's all right, I can do this. I can do this in a year. By this time next year, I will have another book. Wrong. And that, I was rushing through, scrambling to make it to editors. I think Fletcher was beta reading at the same time that an editor had it by my stupidity. And, it was 2 years between them, but I think if I had known how hard that was going to be, I would have given myself more time. And I think it's forever going to be the book that got away, in a way, where it's just, I pushed it too hard, too fast, and I could have slowed down and made it better. But people seem to like it, I guess, so I don't know. I just got to learn to let it go, so...
That is such a hard mental dance between what you think and what people tell you. And ultimately, we don't get to choose what people like. We can only just produce and
that's a weird feeling.
Proliferate. It's so annoying. Honestly,
that is a really weird feeling.
Yeah. It's the hardest part for me.
You'll get people after your 12th book is published, there's going to be someone who's like, you know what? Your first book was your best.
Oh, fuck.
Fuck off.
No. Yeah, seriously.
It's been downhill since then, buddy.
I have such a hard time when people reach out and they're like, this was awesome, and I'm like, no. I just want to tell them, like, you're wrong. And I love you for buying my book and reading it, but you're stupid. No, I can do better. I don't ever say that. I'm nice to everyone who reaches out. I'm like nice to all of them, even if, well, I pretty much only have positive things, but it's just, it's weird.
Yeah, and I think that's the biggest thing that caught me off guard in the nebulous time after publishing a first book, where I'm eternally grateful for, the launch that Brightwash had. Like, it took me by surprise how popular it was. I was not expecting to go there that quickly. And having to separate myself from that story. Like, it's not mine anymore. It belongs to everybody who's read it now. And coming to terms with being a writer after my stories belong to somebody else was weird. In a good way, but a weird way. Like, it changes your relationship with writing. Did you find that as well with Price of Power?
Well, actually, what you just did is put the fear in me a little bit, because I haven't put my second book out, and I feel like what you're saying is gonna. I'm like, oh shit, what is gonna happen? Because I'm already doing I'm comparing. I'm like, this book's better written. It's faster paced. There's more. I'm like, this one's gonna fuck. And then I'm looking at my first one, going, I should redo things. But then I'm like, oh shit, what if people are like, the first book's way better? I'm gonna be like, oh, I'm crushed, crushed. Big surprises for me. I'll say the hardest thing has been, since my debut, has been the amount of time I've needed to spend on social media to really just like relate with my readers, who are like my core people, like it would be foolish not to, and I probably spend less time the way I kind of see marketing. I haven't done Amazon ads, or I haven't really done any ads. I did like $30 for my Kickstarter for 2 days on Instagram because a buddy convinced me to do it. They didn't do shit, just FYI. But like, it did nothing. But spending, I look at it as like, it's just one reader at a time. One reader at a time. Have a good connection. If they ask questions, talk to them about it. Ask them questions. If they tell you loved it, say thank you so much. And then I like ask them a question. And then they're a fan. They're usually a fan when they reach out. Like, I loved it. But just the amount of time and different platforms like Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. Because I do like to be quick when someone does post something and interact with the people commenting, because they like that. And it helps raise the algorithmic, surfacing. So it just takes a lot of time. And it is it's the most making money as an author on your art, as a publisher, is soul sucking. That's the soul sucking part.
Oh man.
It's like, definitely sticking your dick in a vacuum full of razor blades. So
as hard as figuring out how to write that first book is, and figuring out how to publish it and all that, it's like the first hard thing that you have to learn how to do. And then after that, you have to like figure out who your audience is, and like consider running ads, and you're just running all the time. And it's when I'm feeling great, it's awesome, but like sometimes I'm tired, and I can see my sales dip when I am tired and I'm not there as much, and it's like, man, fuck, like I can't, man, like let me take a nap for fuck's sake. But it's a weird place to be.
That actually brings.
I was gonna say your first book is always this sort of this epic achievement. Like it's basically impossible. You are going to fail, and you're not going to write a book until you actually write the end, and then you're like, holy fuck, I wrote a book.
Yeah,
like that's
and then you got to edit it.
And you're like, I'm a genius. This is amazing. And
it's
everyone
like
gathers
downhill
around
from
and
there.
looks at your steaming turd and laughs at it. And you're like, I'm not a genius. I'm not good at this. So what was the sort of what pushed you over the edge to finish that first book? What broke you to the point where you're like, I'm going to be an author?
Yeah.
What went wrong?
Just really quick, because I said I would do it. Just to show people I did in fact write a book, and I'm not just some stranger that Krystle and Michael paid $5 on the streets. They're like, we really need somebody. No one will talk to us. We got to have a guest. Please just act like you've written books, okay? Make up a name. It doesn't matter. Price of Power. Sounds fucking great. Whatever. Anyways, this is my debut novel, The Price of Power. It was a finalist for the Fan Fight Addict debut of the Year Award for Indies.
Nice.
This is my next book series, totally separate series. I am insane for writing 2 series at the same time. Way of the Wizard, way faster paced.
It's a special kind of insane.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah. People always told me special. I didn't know that's what they meant. Special kind of insane. The delay makes me think you didn't like catch my joke quick enough, so I had to like add that part, and then I was like, oh shit, they got it. Okay. So to answer your question, Michael, I was on a microdose of Fun Guy, and I was taking a leak. And in that process, I was like thinking a thought that I've had probably 100,000 times before. And it was, if I die soon, who will write my book? Who will finish my book for me? Maybe it'll be my brother. Maybe it'll be these people. Maybe someone will start a charity organization and they'll hire and then mid-thought, I was like, nope. No one's fucking writing your book for you, Michael. Nobody's writing it. People will. Here's what will happen. People close to you will be devastated for like 6 months, 3 months, maybe. And then really sad sad when they think about you for the rest of your life. People who don't know you will be devastated for maybe a month or like sad a little bit and then kind of not really think about you that much. And then that'll be that. Nobody's writing that book, buddy. So you should probably write it. And I had already written some of it. I've had the book in my heart and mind for probably 22 years in total. In the last 6 years, in the last 6 years before I wrote it, I had become a professionally certified coach. And that the philosophical underpinning of my coaching is ontology, which is the metaphysical branch of like being in oneness. And that gave me the kind of spiritual magic system, the missing piece, right? The hinge piece, I like to call it. Like Hogwarts is the hinge piece of Harry Potter. The Iron Throne is the hinge piece of Game of Thrones. It gave me that for The Price of Power. And so started doing some work on it, maybe had like 50,000 words, and then had this whole thought pattern, which is so real. I found a journal of mine right before I published the book. And in the journal, it was from high school. It was like, if I die, who will finish my book for me? And I'm like, Jesus, like, this was 18 years ago.
I was cooking this
how
one
fucking long
for
have
a
I
while.
thought this? Whoa. So
that's rough.
Because I came up with the idea for the book in 7th grade. That's when I wanted to write it. I knew I wanted to.
Cool.
And so, I was like, fuck it. I'm doing this. And I am writing this whole thing. And I put down 270,000 words. I don't think...
Wow.
I have some thoughts about this. Sorry if I soapbox for a second. By the way, you can title this podcast episode Fuck It, maybe. I thought that was funny. So people maybe don't understand. Like, I think first-time writers will write a draft and be excited about it. Then they'll read it and go, eee. I never recommend people read their first draft, because what you're effectively doing is when you read your first draft, you're mentally comparing it to the 7th, 8th draft of your favorite authors who then had a highest caliber editor in the world comb it 6 different times, right? there is no comparison. Yours is trash. It just is, right? So it's like, do not read your first draft. Maybe just don't even read your second draft. But I wrote 270,000 words and then cut 70,000 and put it in book 2 so that people could focus more as I like piecemeal the world to them, because it is really substantial and very convoluted. A lot of characters, a lot of disparate storylines, and a lot to digest. So, long story short there. I think really the key for anybody who's like looking to write a first book, or maybe this will just be helpful to anybody who's a writer. The key is energy management. And I'm vibing off of what Krystle was saying a little bit ago. Energy management is everything, because you have to be the publisher as an indie and the author. That means like, if you want to write this part of the book, just skip ahead and write it. Do go where the energy is flowing. Once you get through the first draft,
that's insane,
or even the second draft, you'll be forcing yourself to fix some things, right? That's when you force yourself. But before that time, go with the flow of energy at all costs. If you're having a down day and you're like, fuck it, I don't want to write, I hate myself, then do some publishing work, because that's kind of hate myself kind of work.
Oh, too real.
So that was, how long did it take you to finish the sort of first draft of your first novel?
Sorry, I'm going to make some...
Yeah.
Is this bad? Not fans? I'm going to make some not fans here in a second. The girl I was dating who became my wife gave me Mistborn. And as I was reading Mistborn, I was like, I could totally write something. I could totally write a book that people like. People are going to hate me for that one. By the way, I love Brandon Sanderson as a person. I just am not. I thought the first Mistborn book was good. I didn't like the rest. But it took me to finish the first draft of 270,000 words. The first draft? That's hard to know, because I wrote like 50 to 60K over the course of like 20 years. Yeah. I would say the last 200,000, the last 200,000 took like, it only took me 6 months, maybe less.
Yeah.
I wrote this book.
I wrote this tracks. Book. It's like
so fast. Like, I downloaded the whole thing to my wife in 4 hours one night randomly when it popped into my head. And then I wrote 18,000 words over the next 2 days. And then it took me like a month to finish it, and maybe another like 2 months to do the rewrite, edit, and proof.
Nice. How many words is that? Is that second one? It's got a skinny little spine compared to
76,000.
Yeah.
This is much shorter.
It's just a little.
That's way less impressive. Yeah, we don't care anymore.
Yes, that wasn't that great.
70K. It's a novella.
Just a wee baby of a book. Yeah.
Yeah. It's faster paced for sure.
I can definitely relate though to like that long incubation period of like figuring out if this is even a thing that you want to devote your attention to, and then at some point like some kind of stupid switch flips in your brain and you're unable to think about anything else, and you're just like, no, I'm done, I'm finishing this thing. And then it's like, and then it consumes your entire personality, probably for the rest of your life.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah,
it's like because you did something that's literally feels impossible. Like people just I don't know if people really actually people do understand. People are like, wow, you wrote a book, holy shit, because it's like it's like 2, 3, however many years project. Like I can't think of anything else. Parenting maybe, but that's about it. Where you're actually spending on like one project by yourself. Usually people doing projects like that are like working on like a team with like dozens of people. Oh, what did you say? You said something that like really triggered a thought for me in terms of frick.
Oh man, I don't remember what I say.
So go back and watch the podcast. I'll think of it then. Shit. All right.
Yeah.
Phone it in. So that when you finished that first book, I mean, for me, it was this sort of everything changed. Like it killed the doubt. Book 2 was, in comparison, I want to call it effortless, but it was so much easier because there was no like, I don't know if I can write a book, because I'd already written a book. Mine wasn't 275,000 words long, Krystle. It's not the same.
Yeah, that's probably part of my problem. I found the opposite though, where it's like, oh, I did it. That wasn't so bad. I can do that again. And then I'm like, oh fuck, I have to do that again. Mm-hmm. That was my cross to bear.
That usually hits me about 2/3 of the way through. And by the way, I remembered what I was going to say. It was that I had always held the book as, I was like, I'm going to be a successful coach and like make all my money. And then when I retire, then I'll write my book. And I think the truth, that switch happens when you really like land into who you are as a person. Because I think to write a book, there has to be like, I think there has to be a degree of like, I know myself now. I know who I am as a human being. And like, this is who I am. Because otherwise you're never going to you're not going to have the motivation, the passion to get through that level of project. You've got to like know yourself deeply. And it's what you said, that piece where it's like, holy shit, I just wrote it. Holy shit, I got to write it again. Holy shit, I got to write it again. And then again. That takes so much trust and acceptance, right? You got to trust yourself to do it, that you're doing it. And then acceptance, because you hit that halfway through, 2/3 of the way through point, 110,000 words, and you go, oh my God, I have to do this again when I'm done. Oh no.
Yeah. Yeah, I find like when I'm really, really kicking my own ass about how hard it is, and kind of sulking and making a menace of myself in the house, my husband will very kindly remind me, like, if this was easy, everyone would actually be doing it. Like, this thing that you're doing is not actually a simple process, so it's okay that it's this hard for you. It's not because you're an idiot, although I think he's wrong. It's just hard, and it's okay for it to be hard. And I think there's a bit of peace in accepting that. And I think that ties into what you were saying about knowing yourself, where to finish this, we just have to accept it's going to be hard, and we have to be aware of our limitations and then put our head down and write another paragraph.
Yep. What do you think, Michael? Michael's Fletcher's over there. He's like, that's so easy. These guys.
Yeah,
like,
we got the lean on him again.
I don't know. That's part of the whole writer path, right? Everyone's different. You know, I think my second book was so much easier than my first, because the first one was so fucking difficult, and it took 2 years to write. The second one, like, wrote it, landed an agent, got published with Harper Voyager, and it was like, oh shit. Like, out of the blue, right? That was Beyond Redemption was the second thing I ever wrote.
Second one. Oh, okay, that's interesting. So there's a whole other one. Like, has that other one been published since, or?
Yeah, so it was originally published by a small Canadian press. Then I got the rights back and re-released it as Ghosts of Tomorrow.
Okay.
Okay,
that's
cool.
Yeah. Which we could talk about rewriting your book, because I actually went back and added a couple of chapters and did a few editing passes, you know, after I got the rights back and stuff.
I almost did that.
It is kind of nice. Yeah, it's kind of nice.
But I'm still thinking about cutting. Backwards. Yeah, I mean, it's just like I want to write. I have like 7 series at various stages, right? And like probably total of like 30 books. You know, I want to write. I'm sure a lot of authors are like this, and I'm like, maybe I just keep going, because it's that fine dance of like perfecting the art versus making money of being a business. It's like, is this 95% good enough for the readers, so that I can actually put more books out? You know, it's the trade-off. It's like, do I want a more amazing book, or do I want more books for my readers to read? Brandon Sanderson tells us it's this one.
The answer is yes.
Oh, damn.
Sorry.
Shots fired.
If Brandon Sanderson responds to this, then that's good, probably. For me.
We're all famous if he responds to this. So let's only hope. Yes.
You can thank me later.
Yeah. And lo, we lived in infamy from that point on.
So, random last kind of question to fire at you before we shut her down.
Oh yeah.
What's your superpower as a writer?
Oh, stubbornness isn't. Maybe
All
that's to be
writers have
said
that.
for all of us. Yeah.
Well, I'm going to go with two. So
Okay.
number one is, it was just my superpower as a person, is like, it isn't just creativity. I won't say I'm going to have like, there's people who are more creative. They have more wild ideas, etc. But I am super fast. My creativity happens fast, like super fast.
Nice.
And it is always going. It's like, it's very kinetic. And like I said, with The Way of the Wizard, I literally wrote the whole thing verbally in a 4-hour period, the whole series, not just the first book.
Yeah.
To my wife.
Cool.
She just sat there like this for 4 hours one
sounding
night
bored
and just listened to me. And that's kind of what happened. It allows me to just flow. It's that flow. I can flow really well.
Yeah.
It just flows fast. The other thing is just my experience as a human being. My background I have my master's degree in school counseling. I am a professionally certified coach, which takes some effort.
Yeah.
So I kind of like deal with the
that feels
hero's
like an
journey.
Understatement.
Yeah, it is an understatement. But it's like, actually, I could be a master coach if I wanted to pay $2,500 to take the test, but I don't want to. It's pointless.
Yeah.
But like, just that amount of how much time I've spent dealing with people's like internal challenges and obstacles, their mindsets, and seeing how they persevere, seeing what motivates them and what, clicks them this direction or that direction. Like, it has really allowed me to dive in with my character work. And so I think probably the strength of my books is character voice, for sure. And that's probably why I get so many comparisons to Abercrombie in my reviews and stuff, which was interesting to find out. That was kind of the moment. I think someone mentioned this earlier, but like that moment where I was like, oh shit, I wrote a good book. It was in the beta phase where my first book, I had it out to 12 readers. Well, I had it out to 20, but 12 people read it. And then they filled out my beta form afterward. And it was like, what is this book like? What does this book do that's unique? And what is this book like?
Oh, that's really smart.
3 or 4 of them were like,
so
this
organized.
is like the
I
first
can't
law.
possibly do that.
And I was like,
yeah.
I was like, first law, what the fuck is that? And then I went and read it and I was like, oh, I get it.
God damn.
Like, it's different, but I get what they're going for.
Yeah.
Know? So
the core.
My marketing, it was easy.
Yeah. 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 I had a similar moment, although for me it wasn't about quality, because nothing can convince me that I've done anything specifically that great. It was more about like, I started getting the Abercrombie comps, and I was like, oh, I guess I did write a dark book. Okay, I'll go with that. we'll do grimdark. That's fine.
Yeah, it's like, I was like, what, grimdark? I guess. I still don't think my books are grimdark. I just don't.
Yeah, it's something we've discussed a few times, where grimdark is like a thing that is bestowed upon you by your audience rather than a thing that we do intentionally.
You don't get a say in the matter.
Yeah,
you go along for the ride, and if the grimdark audience sort of
declares
adopts you, then you're like, okay, cool.
They've knighted you as a grimdark sir, and that's it.
I think it has more to do with like what my theory is. It's not so much that you're checking the boxes of the definition of grimdark, right? Anymore, it's, does this sound and feel like other grimdark I've read? And I think that's where so much of that, like, oh, you're grimdark, comes from. I've stopped calling myself grimdark. No offense, everybody. I say I'm a gritty epic fantasy author. That's it. I'm Grittick.
Yeah. Yeah. The Chronicles of Grittick. Yeah. Yeah, I feel like grimdark is like a vibe, and the crowd will clock you as like one of us or not, and that's just it.
Whatever readers want to say I'm one of them, that's cool. Although I do have an interestingly
Yeah, exactly.
I have like a group of like Christian mothers who've really loved my book. And I found that to be fascinating, and I'm all for it. I'm like, yes, spread the darkness. All your to the church. Bring it to the church.
And on that note, we're hitting 30 minutes. We will wrap this one up here. Thank you again, Michael, for joining us. It has been a pleasure chatting with you.
Yeah, that was fantastic. Thank you very much. Yeah, buy his books.
So thirsty for readers.
Follow his. It's okay. Follow his social medias and shit, and buy more books.
Do we add shit like that in links? Do we do that for people who like chat?
Yeah,
with
I
us?
put the links in the description.
You do?
For
that's
everybody.
awesome.
Yeah, I pretend I'm professional.
Thank you.
I learned it from other people who know what they're doing.
It's good. It's good. It's
so
diligent.
Thanks so much for coming.
Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you guys. It's been a joy. I've never got to talk to either of you in person, but I've talked to you plenty online.
Yeah.
This seems about the same. In a good way. That sounded very...
It's kind of a letdown.
It's
like, whatever.
Thought it was going to be exciting, but no.
Yeah.
No, I had a blast. Thanks for having me, everybody.
Take care, and thanks again.
Thanks.